My name is Mark Cotgrove. I'm professionally known as Snowboy, and I specialise in Afro-Latin percussion. I encountered the music initially at a very famous nightclub on Canvey Island near where I live called the Gold Mine, and there was an incredibly famous DJ there called Chris Hill, and he used to play along all the soul and funk. He used to play a lot of jazz funk, jazz fusion, and I thought the music was incredible. I didn't quite know what it was, and I started to collect it and started to focus in about what made all these interesting exotic sounds on the records. Even though I had no intention of actually being a percussionist, I still wanted to know what made these sounds, so I used to write them down on the back of, off the back of the album sleeves, write down the names of these instruments and go into a local drum shop and ask them to show me what they look like. And I was unemployed at the time, and every time I got my dole check through, I'd save up a bit of money and start to buy a few bits and pieces of these, because not only did I want to know what they looked like, I wanted to know how they made that sound. At that time, I was so inspired by the music the DJ was playing in the club that I was buying lots of that music myself. So I started to build up a nice collection of percussion, and also had a great reference there with all the records that I was collecting, and there was, as I later found out, there was a lot of Brazilian and Cuban music in there particularly. So just these two sticks, everything fits to these sticks. There was two percussionists that really inspired me. One was Hector from Brazil, although he became more famous once he moved to America and started playing with Miles Davis. He's a real maverick percussionist, and just, he'd make up a lot of the sounds himself. A lot of stuff you couldn't even buy in a shop, but he was an incredibly inventive percussionist, always been an inspiration. The other inspirational percussionist for me was a conga player, or as we call them, congueros, called Poncho Sanchez, who was from the west coast of America, I think from Mexican heritage. But as a player, he was everything I could ever hope to hear as a conga player. It was everything I could ever want to be and hear. So, and he still remains probably certainly one of my top three inspirations, even now, even after 35 years. What I do fits in with pop and rock music as well. So I've had kind of a career in that world as well. Just playing with various pop artists. The other day, for instance, I was working with Rick Astley. I've just co-produced Lisa Stansfield's new album, and we're just about to go on a world tour with that. Imelda May, Simply Red, Amy Winehouse, Mark Ronson, yeah, Amy was lovely. I knew Amy anyway through the acid jazz world before. So when I started working with Mark Ronson and Amy was doing those shows, it was more of a reunion rather than meeting her for the first time. It's quite interesting. At a sound check one day I can't remember the name of the club, but it was in that big market near Holborn. We were doing a sound check and Ronson comes in with this recording. He said, Amy wants to, I've just finished mixing this afternoon and Amy wants to do it in the show tonight. So can we learn it in sound check? And it was Rehab. So it was literally just finished that afternoon. What inspired me most as a percussionist was a scene it's going on all around the countries, but mainly in the main cities, where people dance to jazz, and it's been such an inspiration to me, like as a musician, more than the salsa world or anything like that. Seeing those incredible dancers dancing to jazz, predominantly black dancers, so I spent 10 years writing a book called From Jazz, Funk and Fusion to Acid Jazz, with the secondary title, The History of the UK Jazz Dance Scene. It was a book that needed documenting because even talking to dancers sometimes about something that had happened 20 years ago, I knew that what they were saying was wrong, and I thought all this information is starting to get forgotten, or they're remembering it wrong, and so I thought, right, it's time. I'm no writer, I used to write reviews for Blues and Soul magazine, but that's about it. But my writing's not great, and so my book's quite rough and ready, but all the information is in there. So it took a long time, but I really felt quite driven to document it before it got forgotten about. And my book's nearly 10 years old already, which is quite mad. That means I was researching 10 years before that. So that means that's 20 years gone already, on a scene that started in the 80s, really, in the early 80s. So anyway, I thought, if anyone's going to do it, I'm going to do it.